After over 25 years of marriage, we've learned that successful couples have great friendships, put each other first, and focus on light just as much as love. We believe marriage should be fun and easy.
Our goal is to share our journey with the hopes of helping others build strong, happy relationships. Join us as we continue to create our lives beyond I do.
Do you and your partner want to learn simple ways to grow closer?
Do you and your partner want to grow happier together?
Do you and your partner want to be a unified front?
Do you and your partner want to divorce-proof your marriage?
If you answer yes to these questions, you need to check out our book, Unlocking Forever, 10 Keys to a Successful Marriage Beyond I Do.
Each section focuses on a different aspect of marriage and briefly describes how we handled it in our relationship. At the end of the section, you're given an action step or key to complete with your partner.
These keys are practical steps you can immediately implement in your relationship and help you and your partner be proactive and intentional about your relationship.
You can purchase your copy on Amazon.com.
And until next time, we will holler at y'all. We are not marriage counselors, nor are we mental health professionals. We're just simply sharing y'all how we navigated through our marriage. Now, on with the show. All right, we'd like to welcome you back to the Beyond I Do podcast. We have a special guest today that goes by the name of Natasha Rawls. She is a women's empowerment coach. She is a minister by trade. She is a phenomenal woman who has served her community. And fun fact, in meeting her, we found out she was from the city of North Augusta, South Carolina. So,
which is where we are.
Welcome you, Natasha.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I tell you what, I'm excited to be here, and I love your mission and your vision. And so I'm going to share a little bit of my story and kind of some of the highlights, things I've learned along the way.
All right. So introduce yourself, tell us about you, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, I'm an empowerment specialist and newlyweds. I've been married a whole 8 months now.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And so most of the work that I've done over the past 25 years is just working with individuals who are, seeking the Lord and trying to find their God-given journey. Maybe they've been through a traumatic experience and they have lost their bounce back. And so I help them to regain their confidence, so they can, especially for the ladies, the new term is boss up when it comes to, in your relationships, in your finances, and then those that are seeking entrepreneurial opportunities, that want to jumpstart businesses. So I help people, mostly women, but I do help men too. I'm not, I don't discriminate, but whoever God allows to cross my path, couples, I get to work with people as they're on their quest, on their journey to live their lives authentically and just be the best versions of who they are. And so I bring to the table a lot of experience. I'm formerly an educator, so I've done everything from the 2-week-old babies all the way up to graduate schools, students for University of Phoenix. And then I served on the city council, did a term in my community, so made history as the first African-American woman to join the city council, be elected to city council in Roswell, New Mexico.
All right.
New Mexico, wow.
New Mexico. So I left South Carolina probably. I was about 16 years old, and I've been in New Mexico for about 26 years.
Okay.
Now, since I've gotten remarried, I've moved to Tallahassee, Florida. So I'm kind of down the street.
Right. That's not too far. That's a big jump from New Mexico to Tallahassee. And all of it's a big jump from South Carolina. But
Say for that part was all for the sake of love. The other part, leaving South Carolina, I didn't have a choice. It was just kind of like, mom was pursuing her career goals, and that's where the door of opportunity opened up. And she basically said, I'm gonna apply for this job, probably not gonna get it. And then 2 weeks later, she was like, we're moving to New Mexico. And I'm like, up? What about my friends? That was right between my junior and senior year of high school. So
Wow.
very critical for me. I didn't want to leave my friends, but being resilient, having that personality. I came to New Mexico and had to bounce back. So I had to make friends. And then I found out their senior trip, they were going on a cruise to the Bahamas. We weren't doing that in South Carolina. So that kind of turned my frown upside down a little bit like, hey, we embrace this.
Right.
Worse, right?
So you talk about women's empowerment or empowerment. And one of the things when we met the first time and looking through some of your work, you focus on confidence. And so if you could tell us a little bit about the importance of that self-confidence piece and then what it is that you do to help individuals who come to you for those services.
Okay. So I'm just finishing up. We just got back from Zimbabwe back in November. This month is actually Women's International History Month. And so all about women's empowerment. This week, actually, we're getting ready to head to Paris, France, and I'll be on the stage there to inspire motivate women. But, the statistics show that when you have strong self-confidence and you have, sound self-confidence, that you're going to be better in any space because you're more self-aware, you have that emotional intelligence. And so I help women specifically, but individuals who have lost that confidence, or maybe they've never had that confidence, to gain it so that they can level up in whatever arena. So whether it's in your career field, you want to, move up and be promoted as an executive. So I get to work with C-suite executive members, team leaders, things like that in the workforce. And then, of course, just life happens. So for me, the thing that kind of took the rug out from under my feet was divorce.
Right.
I wasn't expecting it. I was heavily traumatized, went into a mode of depression, and it was just existing. I was just going through the motions. I knew I had to work, no one else was going to pay, these bills, right?
Right.
So I had to at least show up and get the paycheck.
Right.
But I wasn't effective. I was just there collecting a paycheck because there was no passion. My boss, she was so gracious. I would just go to work and cry pretty much every day. She would be like, "You okay? You can make it." I would be in my office, close the door, do, muddle through the work, but, in between the tears. Because it was a devastating, piece.
Right.
Well, now, I took that experience and then I had to figure out how to break out of depression. So I started doing research. And so that's how I was able to regain that resilience and bounce back and break out of depression. That's where the city council came up. I tell people I'm more apolitical. I wasn't even into politics. That was never in my wheelhouse, on my to-do list. Not a dream or aspiration at all. But that was what I found, to break out of depression, was to give back. Stop thinking about me, my situation, my brokenness, my trauma, and get out and start, finding ways to help other people. And so through campaigning and serving on the city council, that was it. It took my focus off of me and helped me to get that. And so that's what I get to teach.
Wow, I'm sure that built a great deal of confidence, just going to talk to people in the community and, hearing some of their stories. A lot of times we find that when we talking to other people and they start telling their life, and you look at yourself and be like, man, my stuff ain't that bad. So
right. Stop having this pity party. Get up, girl. Put your britches on. Let's go.
Right.
That's great.
One of the things that you said you were just existing. And that's one thing. I have felt that place before, where I know that I am just going through the motions. And so to pair that with you going from existing to moving to this place of confidence, I would imagine that took a lot of courage to be able to make that step. So what types of things or experiences led to that buildup of courage for you to then become more confident and take on city council?
It was totally a God thing, because like I said, I was flat. I always liken it to on the cartoons, the old Bugs Bunny cartoons. They get hit by the steamroller and they're just flat. You got to peel them off the ground. That was my life. Going through that phase, and it was, I need to be reinflated. And it was by, being in the presence of the Lord and the few people around me, family that supported me and I knew were praying for me. But, when you're in that place, you don't want to hear all that church jargon and all that stuff. I just want to be left alone. Let me go through this process. But of course, the Lord will send people who surround you. But I'm a worship leader, so I would just keep my praise and worship music on. And on repeat, the song that often played was, I'm walking, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the water. That was the song that got me through. And I would just listen to that over and over again, because I was thinking I was drowning.
Right.
And, it started with that research, and I was like, I gotta break out of this. It was starting to affect my daughter. She was getting ready to graduate from high school at this time. And so she was falling behind in school, and, her goals were kind of lacking a little bit. And so here she is. She's like, Mom, are you going to be okay? I didn't know how deep I was, in this hole. She was like, even in your sleep, you're just crying and moaning. And, it was just really, really, I don't think I didn't realize at the time how bad it was. But hearing that when your child comes to you and is concerned, it's like, okay, you got to get it together.
Right.
You gotta
and
figure it out.
There is something about your children seeing you at that vulnerable moment. Yep. And what I think we've realized is they need to see the vulnerability, but then they need the power of seeing you move past that space. Exactly. Because that's how they start to learn those things. So,
and divorce is like grief. I tell people it's like having one of your appendages ripped off. The process of marriage is the two becoming one. Right. And so when you go through divorce, it's like literally ripping your body apart. And so I've learned and I've seen, some people can grieve too long, and literally medical science says you can die of a broken heart. Yes. And I didn't want to be found in that spot. Right. And so one of my spiritual moms, she came and prayed for me and just broke that spirit of grief off of me, because it was taking me to the grave. It was going to kill me for sure. But after she prayed, that's when kind of that breakthrough and that lift came. That was one of the critical moments. And here I'm doing the research. Okay, start serving other people, start trying new things, taking risks, stay around people that are supportive, get out of your comfort zone, start taking those different risks. So that's what I did. I started living again, trying new things,
Right.
People call it a bucket list. I call it, let's make it a live list, let's make it a
right.
Your heart that you want to do, just do it. Yeah. I want to skydive. I want to learn how to ride a motorcycle. Right. I watched a YouTube video and taught myself how to ride a motorcycle in my front yard.
What? Right. Yay. I watched some YouTube videos, and that's where my learning ended. I ride on the back with him.
I prefer that too. So I did sell, and I was still single at the time. I said, Lord, the next time I get on a bike, I want to be on the bike with my husband. So.
And does he ride?
He loves to ride. He wants a crotch rocket though. And I'm like a cruiser kind of girl.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
He made that transition a few years back. Yeah. Look, it made me feel a little bit older. So I was I'm okay. I'm at peace with my age right now though. But then it's like, why are you getting that old man motorcycle?
It's way more comfortable. Give me the wide seat any day.
It was a lot easier on that back.
I know that's right.
Look, I realized once I had a seat I could lean on and
that backrest.
Okay, well, this isn't that bad. Yep. It has a little basket in the back, so if I have my purse with me, I have somewhere to put it. It doesn't have to hang on it. So I learned very quickly to adapt. Not to mention, I'm just a rider, so I'm just with
that's the best spot. I love that.
And so you're talking about your divorce, and then you said you're newlywed. So in that journey to be more confident, to find you, when did and how did dating come about in this?
It was a long journey. So of course, I'm bouncing back. I'm living life. I'm having fun, traveling to and fro. My family's like, where are you going next? I'm all around the world. I got involved in more missionary work. And so we were traveling, just going to serve people, serving the kids, putting on events, all in Mexico. We would go to Africa and talk to the business leaders and city leaders, things like that, talk to them about how to jumpstart businesses and, breaking out of that cycle of poverty, things like that. And so I was just enjoying myself. But then, of course, after you go and you minister, where's my pour, God? I want to come home, be able to celebrate. It's fun, Mom, I love talking to you. I love the way you celebrate and support me, but you don't hug me like a husband would or someone who would love me intimately. So I started getting lonely. Of course, the church says, make the Lord your husband. It sounds good. It sounds all deep and stuff.
Right.
I remember when I was first, asking the Lord for a husband, I want Jesus with some skin on. I want to be held. So just going through that process of healing, I tell people, don't just jump into the next relationship that looks convenient. Just for the loneliness, and definitely like my uncle would tell me around the holidays is the worst time to start trying to jump into a relationship. Don't do that because you're feeling lonely, you're feeling anxious, you don't have that person to take to the holiday dinner. So now you're like, oh, meet Bob, your boyfriend. No.
Anybody looks good at that point.
Right. And then especially during the winter months, anybody to cuddle with feel nice, right? But so you don't make, what do they say? Don't make a lifelong decision over just a moment of anxiousness or loneliness or tiredness, halt. That's what I tell people, halt. But, going through that process of healing from the trauma, I wanted to be whole. I didn't want to, have all this baggage trying to start a new relationship. And so I went on that journey of shifting my mindset, building up confidence, and a lot of it starts with your mindset. Because you have all these negative scripts that are played for forever. You're not good enough. You're too fat. You're too dark. You're too light. You're too this or that, fill in the blank. And so you got to silence those voices and begin to affirm yourself using a new script. And the best script is, what does God say about you? You're fearfully and wonderfully made. You have purpose. God has a plan for you. He has a future and a hope. When you start thinking about hope, that'll make you perk up. Like, okay, I'm stuck right now. I'm flat right now. There's a chance that I can get up and get back on top.
Right.
And favorite people, Les Brown, he says, if you fall down, at least try to land on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
I like
Song
that.
say we fall down, but we get up.
I know that's right.
Yep.
And so you get to this level of empowerment, and then your knight in shining armor rides in. How does that happen?
That sounds good on paper too, right?
Good.
Cinderella story.
Before you answer that, I wanted to be a little comical in this time. Now, I know that you were heavily involved in the church. I'm sure you had some of them old ladies coming up to you. So, baby, when you gonna get married again?
No one was trying to rush me. Everybody was kind of trying to talk me out of it. Like,
oh, really?
Or your singleness.
You know what? That's probably because you live in the South, then. That's probably.
Well, and then too, or they had inside information and knew you were better.
Yeah.
You were better off by yourself. So, I have a friend who I had to understand, like you said, it's a process. Divorce is a process. There's grief. I was so confused why she wasn't as happy as I was when she got a divorce. But, we talked about things, and you're right. You were with this person for however many years, and regardless of what happens or what brings you to that point. So I had to understand she needs time to get used to it and to heal.
Yeah.
And then we could be happy because it wasn't a good situation that she was in, but she still needed that time. So
yeah, it was painful from the outside looking in, but that's the thing of it. Unless you go through it, you don't know.
Right.
It's like,
so while I was kind of going through my healing process, and this is, I think the Lord is funny. He's using me to help counsel young married couples. I was still, leading these divorce care classes, but I invited people who were single that helped them learn how to avoid divorce. I invited married couples, all of us were together, but that's when I found out that there are some women who were super excited. They were the initiator. They did not play the victim role. They were like empowered through their divorce. And so it gave me a different perspective. Then why am I so beat up? And why am I over here the victim? Like I can't make it, so that was, I would say, somewhat inspirational to be around women who were empowered even through their divorce, that they took their power back. Maybe it was a violent relationship or a lot of emotional abuse, or, the new term now is narcissistic partners, things like that. So that was helpful to help start shifting that mindset as I was, bouncing back too.
Which goes back to that, putting yourself aside and serving others in order to heal from that. Because you were still providing service to others and bringing people together to share experiences and what they could learn from those experiences. So that's...
And it was good. I got good feedback. At first I was a little perplexed, like, Lord, I'm hurting. I'm going through my own difficulty. Why are you bringing these people to my house? Because we did it it was like a living room church. But it did bring its form of healing, just serving them and then hearing, other people's divorce stories that had a different effect.
Right.
So it was helpful.
Right. All right. So back to this magical knight in shining armor. Did he come in on the white horse, black horse? What is the convertible? What was it?
You know how this goes. So
the motorcycle. I forgot about that.
On the motorcycle. So a Christian woman. I've been married for 13 years already. I had just been in church, under the church, in the pew. I didn't know what was happening in the world. So introduced back to single life, a place I never expected to be in my 40s. I think I was probably like 35 when I got divorced, but I stayed single for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So trying to date and navigate like what in the world is happening in culture? All kind of philosophies, polygamous philosophies, women who not only have a husband, but they have a boyfriend too. Men, I was invited to join the other wives with their 15 kids and become one of the wives that live there. All kind of stuff. And I was just like, something in church. And they were using the Bible. Abraham had many wives,
Oh, man.
So going back to Bible study, basically, so I could answer some of these questions from a biblical perspective. And then, of course, the whole, he that finds a wife finds a good thing, so my family was like, you don't need to go anywhere. If God wants you to be married, he'll bring them to your door. And I was like, man, this can't be right either. It wasn't settling right in my spirit, because the only person coming to my house, especially during COVID, was the FedEx guy. And he was
right.
Him. So navigating like online dating. So I learned a lot of do's and don'ts, made a lot of mistakes along the way. And then I'm praying, seeking the Lord, help, send me a husband. Thinking that, I'd already done 13 years. This will be easy. I got this. Yeah. I'm ready to be remarried. I did my healing. My trauma's healed. My heart, I've been, I walked in forgiveness. I'm able to be in the same room with my ex-husband and not want to stab him, things like that. So I went through the process.
That's the important thing.
I went through the process. I did all the stuff. And so I'm praying, what they say, great drops of blood like Jesus. Lord, please be a husband. So, my philosophy on marriage and dating kind of shifted. And so I started reading stories like in the book of Ruth. Her mother-in-law told her, go lay at Boaz's feet, position yourself in his field. And so I believe, we as women have a responsibility to be out, in service, enjoying your life so that you can be found, that kind of thing. So I kind of shifted there and I got a second job just for fun. Part of it was so I could be out among the people.
Mhm.
And so I got a second job at Le Walmart.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Look, I'm not
okay.
mad.
Ah,
Not
see.
mad.
Small community. You can meet everybody in the city.
Yeah.
That's
at
right.
Walmart.
Everybody coming there.
So I became the cashier. So I was getting all kind of people who were interested, meeting new people.
Mhm.
And so one day I was at work. This is a Cinderella story. And I saw this guy from a distance. He was dusty looking, you could tell he just got off work. He was tired. But I don't know, something I saw from a distance. I don't know, light. I don't know. So I just looked at him and I was like, okay, in the movies, the lady just locks eyes, love at first sight. So I'm just going to watch him walk all the way out of Walmart. So I just kept my eyes on him, watched him walk all the way out the door. I said, well, dang, Lord, it did not work. I went back to work, minding my business. And then I felt this tap on my arm. Excuse me, ma'am. I saw you looking at me. So I just wanted to give you my number. And, maybe when you get off work, you can give me a call.
Now I love his confidence.
Yeah.
That's how I met my husband.
I love it.
Wow, that is.
I love
And
it.
you know what? That's one thing I tell a lot of these younger women. They're looking for the guy with the big money and the big cars and all. And I tell them all the time, go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, go to Walmart. That's where you're going to find a good man at. Because if you get there, he's shopping for a reason.
Right. He's working, could do a DIY project.
Yeah.
And Home Depot has those DIY courses.
Yeah.
So women can go learn how to lay tile. and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Positioning yourself in a new
Right.
space that you
Right.
never thought of. Never know who you brush up into.
Right.
That's right.
That's good stuff.
Oh, that's fantastic. So he tapped you on your shoulder and said, excuse me, ma'am.
Now, were you stunned when you turned around and it was him?
Stunned that it worked. This whole lock eyes with people from a distance. It kind of worked. But
All
then
you
I
had to do was look at him. You didn't have to chase him in there. You just stared at him.
stared him down.
Right.
He probably was like, is she crazy? Let me go.
Right.
He tells a version of this story. He's pretty funny with his. He's a comedian too. But at the same time, I was excited, but I didn't want to be, like the young people say, can't be thirsty.
Right.
That's
I
right.
did not call him. I had to wait. And so when I finally did talk to him, probably like a day or two later, he was like, I thought you were going to call me that night. I was like, no, I can't call you that night, sir.
Oh, man. See, you had a brother sitting up there. He the doggone told his boys, look, I ain't going nowhere because
I'm waiting on my call.
old girl I met at Walmart, she's going to call me, dog. So I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to sit at the house. I might watch a game a little bit. And he just watching the phone. I knew what he was doing. He said the whole time, hey, she didn't call yet. All these messages.
He didn't call because he didn't get my number. So
Yeah, you did?
Right.
all in my hands. But eventually we did. We went out to eat at Chili's and we just started hanging out, spending time together. And he said, and I quote, I'm just going to be a placeholder. I don't want to get married.
Oh, what?
Okay. Sounds great.
Placeholder.
So how many dates in were you when he said that statement?
Probably maybe 4, maybe 5 times we'd hung out at that point.
Okay.
And so I was like, fine, that sounds great. So I continued to date or my former date and try to figure out dating. So we were just friends. And so this was before COVID. So then COVID hits and he actually was living in New Mexico at that time, but moved back to Florida. Because I lived in an oil field town. And so everybody was coming out there to chase that money. CDL driver, he's a CDL driver. So he was driving for the oil fields, making, hand over fist money, just money. So he came for a specific reason to jumpstart his own business. So he went back to Florida. And so we didn't really talk. One day he reached out, hey, how are you? Hi, how are you? Just cordial. Then COVID hits. So I'm sitting in the house every day. You know how it went. And then, of course, I've learned over the years, the news reports, they always kind of exacerbate whatever the storyline is.
Right.
So I wanted to go out in the world and check and see for myself. I had a dear friend pass away, not even from COVID, but she was only in her 40s. I was like, I can't sit in this house and not get to see my family. And so those that would allow me to, I made a cross-country journey. My sister was living in Orlando at the time. So every state, and that's when I popped back through Augusta to see some people in Georgia, you know, just to check and make sure you still alive. This might be the last time I see you. God bless you. You know, see my peeps. Made it to Orlando. He reaches out and says, hey, can you swing through Tallahassee? I'm thinking, I don't know about that. But he said, I'll pay for your hotel room.
Oh, okay.
So place wanted you to come.
I'll pay for your hotel room. So I wanted to see, is he a man of his word? So as soon as I got to Tallahassee, he had cash in hand, crisp bills, and was like, how much is your room? Gave it to me right away. No strings attached. And so all during COVID, I tell people COVID brought us together. All during COVID, you know, we got to hang out on the beaches. You know, Florida, they were saying, there's no COVID on our beach, vitamin D in the sun. So I was like, okay, sounds good to me. So I hung out on the beaches, mostly during COVID. I was working online as a school teacher. So my students finally, they would be like, Miss Mackey, where are you? None of your business.
Wow, that's fantastic. That is wonderful.
That was it. Fast forward, he finally said he wanted to keep me.
So you heard him tell you that I'm just gonna be a placeholder. I don't want to get married. Then you patiently waited. Like, okay, we're gonna keep this lines of communication open. Everything happened. Now, what was the moment when he said, you know what, I got to have this woman for the rest of my life?
So it wasn't quite.
I was about to say, and then because in between there, because if he had said, I'm just a placeholder to me, I would have held tight to that for like he would have had to really prove to me once that shift happened. Right. So what happened in the middle part to help you believe him once he said, okay, now I want to settle down?
So a good Christian woman would have done what your husband said, what Mr. Byron said. I'm just going to sit here and wait and pray. Just get it together and get a revelation. I guess I wasn't a good Christian woman because I was dating. I was like,
okay. I figured that. I was just being sarcastic about it.
You see,
I said, I got to tell the truth.
I was just being sarcastic. That's all I know you didn't wait because as soon as you heard placeholder, in your mind, you was like, okay.
She said she was still
dating. Enjoy this time, but brother,
I mean,
just believe me.
Yeah.
Don't stop here.
I'm just wondering, like with the hotel room, once you got there and you see each other again, you know, when did that shift occur? Because even like you said, is he a man of his word? Even with all that in the back of my head, I'd be thinking you paying for the hotel placeholder, but so
I'll let you treat me. You know, I'm a queen. You can treat. Right. We could be friends and all of that fun stuff. So that's kind of where we were. And I would say like a year and a half went by. And so finally, for me, I was starting to get very attached to him. And I would tell him, you know, I'm falling in love with you. You know, I don't think this is healthy for me, you know, stuff like that. So finally, we came to a head and it was just like, all right, well, we're not in a relationship, so I am going to intentionally date, and I stopped taking his calls. I had to put the boundaries up. It was like, you don't answer my calls anymore. No, you don't know why? He was like, I can't figure it out, you know? So I was like, you know, babe.
Right.
You know, friend, my placeholder. You know. Right. And so I was dating intentionally and wasn't really taking his phone calls. And so I told him, you know, I'm dating other people. And I was very direct with the intention for marriage. And he circled back and he was like, wait, I don't want you to date anybody. I don't want anybody in your space or in your world, you know. Just get some things together.
Yeah.
I want to make it, you know, make something happen. And so I had to wait, still kind of, do I let him all the way back in? Do I let him have my heart again? Is he serious? Or is this stringing along? You know,
right.
But I had already determined in my heart prior to that, the Lord kept telling me, you need to stop dating. If you're serious about this man and this individual, just stand praying for him. Do the Christian thing, right, Mr. Byron? I would say finally I listened to the Lord, and probably for about 6 months, I just stood praying. I just kind of stopped dating anybody else because, he really did have my heart. And so then even after that, that's when it came to a head. And he said, well, we're not together. And so you don't have to hold any space for me. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, great. Now that we're on the same page, I understand you clearly. I can hear those words. Mm-hmm. So I put those boundaries in place. And then I intentionally started dating for marriage, more strategic, because I'd already done all the bumps and bruises, learned all the do's and don'ts. Mm-hmm. So I was, a lot more strategic in how I was dating at that point. And so that was July 2023. Mm-hmm. And so we got into a committed relationship September. No, these dates are wrong. July 2022. Relationship September 2022. And then we finally got married August 1st, 2023.
All right. That's awesome.
Very good.
Congratulations. Yes.
So after Beyond I Do. See what I did?
I love that.
How has that transition been for both of you? How has that been?
So I told you, I thought I was old hat. I'd already read all the books. I knew about love and respect. He's going to love me. All I got to do is respect him, and I'm going to get his love. Don't get on the crazy cycle. I studied all the books and read all the stuff, had all the conversations. We didn't do official premarital counseling, but because, I've counseled so many people, I knew all the questions to ask. How do you discipline kids? What are your thoughts about this and that? All the deep things that sometimes get overlooked in the dating process. And so we had a lot of deep conversations. And so even after almost 4 years of us in a friendship, fake dating one another, and having our almost a year committed relationship, it was still a lot that I didn't know about him. Mm-hmm. Can you believe that? I was like, wait, what? I thought I knew everything about you, how you would respond in this situation, that situation. So we talk a lot. Right. And for me, I had to move on top of marriage, on top of my daughter decided to move with us, had some other family decide to move out to Tallahassee. Stepdaughter, I have a new 9-year-old. She just turned 10. Stepdaughter, she only comes during the summer. And so all these different pieces. And then I had told him originally, I'm not going to be a cooking, cleaning wife. I'll work my 20 hours a week and I'll be available for your intimacy needs. And that's it. But I'm hungry. So now you want me to cook? And I got to do laundry for 2 people, 3 in the summer. So a lot of transition. So I was a little stressed out. And I was like, okay, what makes me me? I got to get back to my self-care. I wasn't taking care of me. I was getting so consumed with his life and trying to do, learn all the stuff. This is the first time in my entire life that I moved in with my significant other. Mm-hmm. It has always been, we either get something together or they, my ex-husband moved in with me. Mm-hmm. Right. That was, different. And so here I am, I got to blend in and move across country and fit into your world and your life. And I was like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Yeah. So even with 13 years prior, knowing him for 4 years and getting married, love of my life, loving him, we have so much fun together. It was still a struggle. So I got back to my self-care. That made a difference. Right. Wow. Having my me time, that mental health, take a moment, refresh. That made a difference. And so now we're in our new normal. And then I had to learn to be gracious with myself. Somebody told me, give yourself a year for this transition. Me, I'm trying to transition in 30 days. Like, I got things to do.
Right. That's how I am. I'm like, no, I want the change to happen now. And then I'll, but I'm learning that doesn't work. And I need to be patient and work through and focus on the journey just as much as the end destination. So I'm right there with you with that one.
So it's a lot better now. So here we are 8 months in. I think we got a really good flow. We just actually did a marriage class together. So that was a blessing. He was so excited. He was like, my job is to love and lead, love and lead. You know, they made it love and lead, love and lead. And I'm like, okay, I love it. But don't get too carried away.
Going back to one of the things that you said, because I don't think men have the same issue, but you mentioned before you realized you needed to focus on self-care, you had wrapped your identity so much into his and into the marriage. And that's something that I continuously have to dial myself back. And even though we're one, there are some things that you have to kind of veer off and do you and then come back to that one. So how was that process, not just for you, but how was that adjustment and process for him when you realized, okay, I kind of need to dial some things back and regroup?
So we had to have a lot of conversations and just, understanding why I need this boundary. Honey, your business. I don't mind helping you with your business, but I also have businesses that I run, and I've got to be more strategic with my time. These are the days that I'm going to give to your business. Is that okay? And these are the days I'm working my business. So just really, a lot of communication.
Right.
Honey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Honey, I'm not doing any more cooking and cleaning this week, so can you take over? And he's such a good guy. Now, here's a sidebar. When you're younger, you're looking for muscles, what your husband's in a nice car, you got to have all this stuff. But when you're older, a man who washes dishes, oh my God, I'm in love. They're so sexy.
We had
wash dishes, fold clothes.
He was editing some. I said that exact same thing. Ain't nothing sexier than walking in the kitchen and seeing him at the dishwasher. I mean, that, and like you said, to me, that's the epitome of a man who's locked into family and to being a spouse, because it's never a question of, no, this is your job, you need to get it done. It's this needs to be done for the household. And I see that you're tired, or I hear you saying you're tired. I got it.
Yeah, that's with me. I always work shift work, say the last 22 years. Well, longer than that, actually. But so I always felt like I was off during the week. She's at work, the kids are in school. What else am I doing? I got time to do a load of laundry, do it all sometimes, fold clothes, whatever. So we just, kind of shared the roles, because my idea was I just wanted to make things easier for her if I possibly could. Now, if it was some things I couldn't do, I might have to, I'll ask, how you do this?
No, don't worry about it.
I'm all about teaching and training. It's fine.
It just depends. Some things I'm like, don't even worry about it. I'm going to get that. But you can get this. That's the key for me, I think that's the key to a successful relationship, is not worrying about what society says, not worrying about what outside sources say, but doing what works within your household to make sure that you and your partner are checking for each other. So he's not going to be placeholder anymore in my mind. He earned
his stripes.
Right. So he's husband. He is no longer placeholder.
But what I need you to do is remind him every now and then. That was a very stupid thing you said.
Right. You almost missed out.
You almost lost me.
Just let him know while you were placeholding, there was this one guy you almost missed out.
I could not tell him that because he already knows. He reminds me.
There you go, man. And that's good that he remembers that. So when you say you've helped couples gain confidence, have you worked with singles you did say you worked with singles who are getting into dating? Because some of the things that you've said would be so helpful for individuals who are, dating, especially older women who are getting out there again after divorce, because things are different. And oh my God, people are different. The expectations are outlandish from time to time. So I commend you with the work that you do with people who are getting girded up to go out and on that journey.
The dating and marriage is not for the faint of heart, for sure.
It is not.
I wanted to do a course, the do's and don'ts of online dating. You hear all the tragic stories, people who were conned and all that kind of stuff, the catfishing, the ghosting. But there is a healthy way, I think, that you can, get to meet new people, not just with the expressed intention of dating, but just to know people and create community in a safe environment. And from there, if love grows, then hey, love grows. Or things like, what we discussed earlier, just positioning yourself. Try something new. Get out in your community. Attend, some of these networking events just to get to meet people.
And I love that because it's almost less pressure. Like you going to get a part-time job somewhere. So there are multiple benefits to it, but not just with the purpose of looking for a partner, but you're meeting potential friends, potential business, contacts and things of that nature. Not to mention, you never know on your end how you're affecting the people as you're cashing people out. A smile or kind word, you never know how you're affecting them. So I love that. That's a something that you did for one purpose, but there were actually multiple benefits to it.
I'm sure that's what he saw, because I know when I go into Walmart, ain't very many cashiers smiling. They either got an attitude. So I'm sure he was smiling at the right time. He probably was like, "Look at that smile, great day."
And she watches me walk out the door.
And she watches me walk out the door.
I had fun working at Walmart. Exactly what you said. I got to serve somebody in the community, pray for people, don't tell Walmart, but some people just come in so broke down, Say, you want a quick prayer? And say a quick prayer as I'm handing them their change right there. And they were so grateful. And you build community that way.
That's great.
And like he said, we don't see that a lot. There was a cashier that I do self-checkout as much as possible because I'm in my bubble most of the time. But I was doing something and the cashier had to come over there and help me. And she walked over and she had the biggest smile and she was so friendly and helpful. And when she got done, I said, "Can I hug you?" I said, I just want to give you a hug. And I gave her a hug. I made sure to get her name and I made sure to do the little survey thing because you don't see that often. And I wanted her to be recognized for that because it's sad that that's considered extra effort on your job because that's how they should be. But I wanted her to get recognition for that. And we just don't see it often.
I love providing excellent customer service and receiving excellent customer service. So that's what I want to do for my community.
Right.
It worked out in all kind of different ways, right?
Exactly.
So as far as your husband, what was his situation like and how did his experience help you combine your lives together? Like, was he ever married before? What were some of his experiences?
All right. So I'm his third marriage. So he was married 2 times before me.
Okay. Now it makes sense. I'm just a placeholder. I can see now. He was probably like, "Look,
yeah,
I got it." But third time's a charm.
Yeah, he's gone through some, major situations where he was, infidelity, where he was the victim on the receiving end of some of those situations.
Right.
And I felt like the Lord sent me to show him that there is good quality women out there, women of standard, all of that. He's also a U.S. veteran. And so I felt like, this is his time to enjoy his life and just celebrate the fact that he served his country. He went through some hard things. He ended up in federal prison for a couple of years, did that and turned his life around. And so I felt like I was the gift that the Lord was bringing into his life.
All right.
We're blending it together. And, he's super amazing too. He has a heart to really give and, help people. But sometimes when you're that person, people take advantage, right?
Right.
Those types of things. And so, he's experienced a lot of hurt, had his own trauma. But luckily, he did the work. He forgave people along the way. He released people, didn't hold any grudges. And even now, some of the people that would call and ask for favors and, need help, he's willing. And I'm in the background like, what this person did?
Look, I'm like,
But he's like, it's okay.
right.
When you do good to people, good comes back to you.
Right.
He's a big proponent on that. And he's just seen how the Lord has blessed him, over his life. So we're a pretty good little team. We're pretty fun together and we're hilarious together. We laugh a lot. Those are some of the things we keep in our marriage. We're both very affectionate. So we touch, hug each other. Even if we walk down the dirt road and hold hands, those are some things that I think will build a lifelong marriage.
Right.
Yes.
They
don't get mad at each other. We do.
Right. But
we don't fight dirty.
Right. When you have those moments of laughing and the bonding because that physical touch is your thing and his thing, when you have those moments, it makes it easier to get through the moments when the conflict comes. So
And then you have to like each other. That's
our thing.
Key. Like each other. Like being around each other.
Yep.
Miss each other when you're not with each other. All that stuff. And that's it right there. I mean, that's, who could ask for anything more?
That was good. So I'll just share this last little bit. I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but this was my first weekend, last weekend, staying in the house by myself. So he went out of town without me.
Uh-oh.
I had to be girl.
You had to be
by myself.
Yeah.
We live on 4 acres, so it gets dark.
Wow.
And but I made it. I did it.
Made it. And when he got back, was he so proud of you?
He was more than proud. He was like, I'm ready to come home. I'm missing my wife. I'm ready to get back. To be missed. I don't think I ever heard those words before. Other times, in the past, it was, can I stay longer? Because I'm not ready to come back here. But to be missed, it makes a huge difference.
It does.
Talk about boosting your confidence. So I'm like a kid at the candy store, standing at the door like, yay, daddy's home.
Right. I love it. Oh, that's beautiful.
That's a beautiful story.
So if our listeners want to learn more about you, want to learn more about your services to help women and men become more empowered and confident, where can they find you?
So you can find me online, all of my handles. So the website is yourcoachnatasha.com. And then on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn is Your Coach Natasha Rawls. You can find me on any of those platforms. And then, of course, email is always fun, info@yourcoachnatasha.com. Awesome. And it's actually me responding.
Awesome. And we will make sure that all of that information is posted as well. So we would like to thank you so much.
And enjoy that, husband. I know you appreciate him because,
Definitely.
Yes.
Next time we do this, I'm going to bring you.
That would be awesome. We would love to have the two of y'all together.
Yes.
We would love that. We're going to have to schedule an episode.
I want to talk to him.
All right. Then you can hear the other side of the story.
I want to ask him, bro, what was you thinking?
He's going to say, he has such a country slang. He's going to say, I was doing my own thing and just living my life. I wasn't trying to be attached to nobody because I wasn't trying to be hurt. That's what he'll tell you.
Well, I'm so glad that he was able to be a little bit vulnerable and open, and you were there for him, and because your smile says it all.
That's right.
Your smile says it all when start to talk about him. So,
and you let the Lord shine through you. So,
amen.
Congratulations.
That stuff from the movies, and it actually worked.
Yeah.
All he had to do was smile. See women? Just smile.
Oh my God.
I know, don't be so mean and angry.
It was gone. Oh my God.
But he's right though. There's some people, so now they have this commercial, the resting binge face.
Yeah.
And that face is horrible. Most women, look at yourself when you're not smiling I just want everybody to, I'm challenging everybody to do that. Look in the mirror, all the women, look in the mirror when you're not smiling. Would you want to date that face?
That's one way to think about it. I'm one of the people that, people would say, it can't be that bad because I'm in my own world and I know my face is telling one story, but at any rate.
At least when you're walking around and while I'm in public, if I look up and I see somebody looking over my way, I'll smile at them.
Yes, you're happy. You're happy-go-lucky. I smile now. I smile much more now than I did in the past. So
you have such a beautiful smile.
Thank you. Thank you.
You want to say hello? We're ending up our broadcast. Come meet this fabulous gentleman.
Hey, how are you?
There he is.
Matthew.
We've heard so much about you.
You don't mind me asking you, what was you thinking?
Ugly.
What was you thinking about that whole I'm just a placeholder comment?
Yeah, let's hear it. You want to sit down?
It's called lease with the option to buy.
All right, so we definitely are going to have to schedule an episode to have the two of you on.
Yes, definitely.
That's
definitely.
sealed it right there.
My kind of man right there.
That's right there.
Lease with an option to buy. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm glad he signed the right paperwork.
Let us know when you get back in the country. We'll set up some time.
Yes.
All right. It'll be so fun.
Thank you again for joining us.
All right. It's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Now us.
You have a blessed day. Thank you.
All right. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Beyond I Do podcast.
Please make sure to like this episode and also subscribe to our podcast. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at the Beyond I Do podcast.
And until next time, we will holler at y'all.